years have I been bitching about knifing in Call of Duty? I mean, what, over 3-4 years now? The knifing in Call of Duty has been eternally broken, and no matter how many times they have attempted to fix it or alter it, it is still irrevocably broken. Both Infinity Ward and Treyarch have made attempts at fixing knifing, but both have failed at addressing the main issue we have with the core of how knifing works. Now, in this video, I actually have two gameplays for you. The first is from Sugar, and he's having some fun with his knife on Black Ops 2. And the second part of the video is going to be a whole bunch of clips from my open lobby that I did last year. Since we had a throwing knife only game on Modern Warfare 3 when I held that open lobby, I figured I would throw in some of the clips that I got to show how fucking bad I am at knifing. Now, oddly enough, before the BluePrint series ever existed, I did a video well over a year ago about Modern Warfare 3 about how the knifing system was still broken. I even went into detail about how they could fix some of the knifing issues, and while Treyarch made attempts at fixing knifing, they only managed to make the knife logic more confusing than before. In that video I did, and the link is in the description for those that want to see what I mentioned back in the day, most of the changes I wanted still hold up as valid ideas today. So I'm really going to piggyback off the ideas that I had in that video, because there are a number of things that I mentioned that will still fix the knifing issues we have today. Now, let's just talk knifing damage for a second. There's no question a knife stab or slice can kill a human being. You get them in the neck, the spinal cord, the heart, or a few other body parts that they teach assassins and shit on how to kill people. I agree that knifing can kill someone in one hit in only certain body parts. However, people can survive stab wounds. Matter of fact, there are more places on your body that if you get stabbed, you will survive as opposed to being an instant death. This is Anatomy 101. This is not bullshit. You know, you slice my neck open, yes, instant death. Stab me in the hip or the shoulder, no. My chances of survival are higher than my chances of dying. The fact that knifing can kill in one swipe in Call of Duty is inaccurate. If I swipe someone across the chest or the back, not a stab, but a knife swipe, like what we see is visually represented in the game, chances are that person will have a gash, or they're going to have a very good chance of surviving that knife swipe. I will never agree that that knife swipe should be an instant kill in every single instance. I only agree with it in special locations around the body. To me, the knife swipe we have now is beyond unrealistic, and the fact that you can have two hands on your primary weapon, pistols not included, makes you wonder where the fuck is that hand swipe coming from? The fuck, did you grow a third hand? Is your dick shaped like an arm that can hold a knife in this motherfucker? Because your regular right hand sure as fuck can't hold the trigger and the weapon and the knife at the same time. Your left hand seems to hold your gun steady, but always magically pops out of nowhere to knife a motherfucker. You know, I could have copped out on this and just said, let's go what Battlefield does to fix the knife and shit like that, but I don't want to do that. I want something unique. I want something functional, something to set the standard on melee combat and first-person shooters. So knifing needs to be fixed and ultimately replaced with something with more realistic mechanics. Now, back in that original knifing video I did, my first order of business was the panic knife. And to an extent, Treyarch does reduce the panic knifing in Black Ops 2 by making it absolutely worthless. You know, that's like complaining that your electric bill is too high each month, then ripping out all the wall sockets in your house to lower the cost and fix the problem. Yeah, that gets the job done, but that's not the ideal way of fixing something. The reduction in the commando type lunge when you're holding a gun was a start, but they didn't eliminate it completely since it still happens to people who are using that knife as their primary weapon only. That bullshit needs to go away in every fucking form. No more goddamn panic knifing, and definitely no fucking commando lunge. Treyarch, you got half the equation right, but you missed the other important half. My suggestions are a number of options that could either all be used or individually be expanded upon. Any one of these or any one individually will change how bad the panic knifing and commando lunge system really is in this game. Now, first up, let's say we keep the knife as is. I would move the button from the thumbstick up to a face button. You know, right now, you can easily just hit the thumbstick in a moment of panic, and depending on your position in relation to your enemy, lock on and kill the motherfucker without any assessment of skill. So if you get the shit startled out of you, the mechanics of the game allow you the opportunity to still win with a panic knife. Moving the melee button or changing the control to a tactical layout where the thumbstick is now the crouch button will remove that split-second panic knifing problem that has plagued the game before Black Ops 2. Now, in Battlefield, they reduced the power of the knife where you need to get multiple stabs on an enemy in the front side to get a kill. I could add that, but I want to avoid making this a fucking Battlefield game. What I can do is change the melee feature to the character using a gun butt as the melee only. Instead of this magical knife swipe that comes from a mysterious hand, now you can cold cock the shit out of someone with the butt of your rifle. 2 hits of the rifle to their face will be a death. And that 2-hit kill is important because it no longer requires a panic knife use. Now it requires a second button input to get a melee kill. Which leads me to the next idea I had in that video. I want a grab and stab feature, and it's pretty much how it sounds. Grab a motherfucker, stab a motherfucker. The idea here is you're still keeping that 2-button melee kill system to stop panic knifing. With a grab and stab mechanic, you would need to hit one button to grab someone and then a completely different button to actually stab them. Now, the button system would actually take a bit of timing, so if you spam the shit too quickly, it wouldn't work. If you take too long, it wouldn't work. And the opponent would have a split second to block the stab portion, which in theory could turn this into a millisecond reaction, quick time event and shit like that. But now, obviously, I don't want to do that. I wouldn't want a complicated button or stabbing system with this bullshit, but something extraordinarily quick to not break the flow of the gameplay. You know what I'm talking about? The person getting stabbed would only have a split second to defend themselves. That's it. Less than a second. That's all we're talking about. But the idea here is that to actually kill somebody with a melee, it now takes timing. It now takes a bit of skill, because as I mentioned before, there are only certain parts in the body that will actually kill somebody with a knife stab. So you can sort of relate this little bit of quick timing event to that person taking that little bit of skill to actually hit one of the major parts of the body that would be an instant kill moment with a knife. Now, let's just say the person defends themselves successfully. The grab feature would break loose and both players would be back on equal footing. The hold would be a clean break and they would both have an equal opportunity to kill each other from that grabbing motion. And I know that in the world of Call of Duty, this is a relatively slow process compared to the speed at which we play the game. But again, this is an option. It's something that requires testing, something new that we don't often see in multiplayer games, something that could be implemented if the testing and production was done correctly. Now, in some other games, Killzone comes to mind, if you sneak up on an enemy from behind, you can actually execute them with some kind of brutal animation. There could be something added to Call of Duty, sneak up on someone not paying attention, and when you melee their back, an animation takes place where you slit their throat, snap their neck, whatever the fuck it is, for an instant one-button melee kill. Essentially, the two-button system would be for face-up counters where you're actually facing someone and you're not surprising them. And that leaves this one-hit button as a function for only some reach-around surprise butt sex. Basically, when the enemy has no idea that you're behind them, you can execute them with one button. But if you see them and you're actively engaged in a fight, it would have to be a two-button melee. That's a real easy solution to make just to fix the knifing problem we have. Now, in any one of these scenarios, panic knifing is removed. One-hit melee kills in an actively engaged battle are removed. I mean, because let's face it, this bullshit over one-hit knife swipes to my fucking arm compared to 2 bullets in the chest is fucking irritating. Commando lunge desperately needs to be removed in all forms. I've said that from the start. I will constantly say that shit. But changing melee to using the gun butt of your rifle and using it as a 2-hit kill and a grab and stab feature automatically gets rid of the panic knifing and automatically makes people use a little bit of skill, which is what you would actually need in real life to kill someone with a knife, and relate that into real world physics in Call of Duty. Now, the final part of knifing is throwing sharp objects, knives, combat axe, ballistic knives and shit. Look, just like regular knifing, if a throwing knife hits you in the eyeball and stabs your brain, slices your throat to your spinal cord, or a combat axe pierces your chest bone and stabs your heart, yeah, you're gonna die. There's no way around that shit. But if a throwing knife flies across the map, bounces off of 2 walls, a telephone pole, a tree, a potted plant, and a homeless man while managing to stab you in the foot, no, you're not gonna die from that steaming pile of horse shit, man. I mean, shit, some of these knife throws that are happening in the game are fucking absurd. The physics alone on this one is bullshit. You can't bounce a combat axe off of 15 fucking walls and get a bounce like a tennis ball. All throwing objects would be removed from regular matchmaking. I know the groans this will cause. Hell, my buddy Chuck loves to use knives, and there are plenty of players who use their knives only in this game, but let's be honest, you're bringing a knife to a gunfight. You're not going into a room with enemies just bringing a knife. Sure, soldiers use knives all the time, but in stealthy cases as their backup weapons. Look, and I've had my fun with riot shields in Modern Warfare 2 and throwing knives. But the ridiculousness of that crap has got to go. All throwing knives and combat axes would be available in that arcade mode that I mentioned, similar to quickscoping. I know people have fun with this, but this is a specialty. This is a novelty of idea. It's not even remotely close to real life use. The chances of you magically killing someone with a throwing knife are infinitely smaller than if you shot that motherfucker. All that unrealistic shit will be put into its own arcade section, which allows for unrealistic gameplay options, which conveniently enough is the next video in this series. And I'll be honest with you, I've talked about a number of topics in Call of Duty, but the next 3 videos are the ones that I've been dying to talk about. The next 3 videos are ideas that will really change how we play Call of Duty, and the sad shit is, they're so easy to implement. It's really gonna make you wonder why these developers are so fucking lazy. So anyway, stay tuned for the next video because I'm gonna get into some shit that will change Call of Duty forever on how we play. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you in the next BluePrint video.